the kill count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Hellraiser III: Hell on Earth, released in 1992. This threequel is when Hellraiser becomes the horror movie you thought it would be, slashy and flashy, with a brand new gashy. Hell on Earth is Hellraiser made for mass market appeal. The setting is unambiguously American, and Pinhead is officially the star of the show. The lead Cenobite was so famous at this point, he'd appear at the MTV Music Awards in a sketch alongside David Spade.
Do you have the new Cosmo?
That is the new one.
The one with Cindy Crawford?
It's not out yet.
Along with his increased screen time, Pinhead is given a lot more dialogue.
Oh, I'll enjoy making you bleed. And I'll enjoy making you enjoy it.
He's also a much more evil character now, and it makes me miss the neutral demon from the first two films. This Pinhead chews up the scenery too much, in direct contrast to Clive Barker's original direction.
Do less.
Barker himself had nothing to do with this film's initial production. He didn't get involved until reshoots and the editing process.
He said, "Right, Bob, now let's turn it into a Hellraiser film."
That last-minute involvement, and a big ol' paycheck, is why his name still wound up on the thing. Barker wasn't the only OG Hellraiser person who wasn't around for Hell on Earth. Hellbound director Tony Randell was originally hired to return, but he didn't get along with the new producers at Transatlantic, which bought the Hellraiser rights after New World Pictures went out of business. They wanted this Hellraiser to be less cult film and more mainstream, with bigger sets and more action targeting a younger audience. They also moved production from the UK to the US, ending the familial set of parts 1 and 2 since it left a lot of the crew across the pond. Luckily, the team at Image Animation stayed on to do special effects again, and near the end of the film, they get put to work. This movie was harder to count than a purge. It took hours of going frame by frame in multiple scenes. When it comes to staring at a screen for that long, I'm thankful for today's sponsor, Movement. Their stylish Everscroll blue light blocking glasses protect my eyes so I won't miss any bodies, or other such sights being shown to me. Movement's got a whole line of fashionable accessories that work real well as holiday gifts. Even though everyone's got phones nowadays, a watch is still a classic gift for a reason. It's convenient and stylish, especially when it looks like the Movement Astro Blue with its stainless steel link strap. Movement's always releasing sleek new products that are a great price for their high quality, and you can get an even better price on Movement's items using the discount link in the video description and the promo code DeadMeatJames. This weekend, that code will get you 25% off your order. After November 21st, you can still use it to take the cost down, but act now if you want that holiday special. Just visit the link in the description and use promo code DeadMeatJames. Will this movie take home the kill count championship that Zombieland Double Tap has held all year? Only one way to find out. Let's get to the kills. The movie begins on the streets of New York, where a Frank Cotton-looking punk is hitting up an art gallery after hours. Pretty pedestrian shit here, besides that pillar of souls. I saw that thing in a movie once. This POS, sculpted from wet clay by Paul Catlin, is much more solid and artsy than it was in Hellbound, but it's still got all the classic pins and boxes attached to it. A random guy shows up, played by producer Lawrence Mortor, and sells the pillar for whatever amount this guy is willing to pay. Joey Summerskill is a beleaguered reporter, played by Terry Farrell 1 year before she'd trek it up in Deep Space Nine. Though she's got a kick-ass cameraman, the mustachioed fringe-wearing Doc, she hasn't been taken seriously by anyone else at her news station.
An inch more flesh, the boys upstairs get hot. Bingo! You're an anchor woman.
I like the little detail of Doc averting his eyes when Joey stands up in front of him. What a gentleman. Joey gets a lead on a story when she's at the hospital one night and all hell breaks loose. You know, kind of literally. We've seen those chains before. Sure enough, Joey stumbles upon such a sight to see. And it doesn't end there, Joester. This guy's head blows apart. Hell yeah! Kind of lacking in blood, but hey, it's an exploding head. I'll take it. A girl named Terry came into the hospital with the exploding head dude, and she mentions that they were both at the boiler room. That's the name of a nightclub in the city, so Joey heads there and walks past the camera-spiking bouncer. Come on, guy, the lens ain't an eye line. This place is pretty dope. It's got a bartender played by co-writer Peter Atkins, a bitchin' metal band, and creepy artwork. Ooh, baby keeping secrets from itself. The boiler room was played by a furniture factory in High Point, North Carolina. Most of Hell on Earth was filmed in the nearby Greensboro, which stood in for New York City. I found a local news report from during the movie's production, which shows how most of the nightclub patrons were played by excited North Carolinians.
Hey, if somebody in Hollywood wants to discover me, I'm here.
The boiler room also has a fancy restaurant section, though I'm not sure where that exists in relation to the Bumpin' nightclub. This is where Joey meets the place's owner, JP Monroe, the guy we met at the start of this movie who copped the pillar of Pinhead. JP JP is Terry's ex-boyfriend, so Joey gives him her card and gets a call from Terry later that night. Terry offers to talk in exchange for a place to stay, as she's currently on the outs with JP. Terry gets to Joey's apartment and they talk about dreams. Not like aspirations, actual dreams. Freddy domains. Terry's never had one, and Joey's having nightmares. They involve her dad, who died in Vietnam before she was born. Dream Joey watches as 2 of his men are shot down around him. One of them a cameo by director Anthony Hickox. The rescue chopper takes off and leaves Joey's dad behind, so I'll count him as dead since this is basically a portrayal of how he died. Joey wishes she could save her dad, kinda like Kirsty's whole deal in Hellbound. The conversation turns to the guy from the boiler room whose head blew up, and Terry says the chains that killed him came out of this box right here. Headsploder somehow stole the box by excavating it from the Pillar of Souls. How'd you even let that happen, JP? Too busy wrestling rodents? Watch your shit better, man. You might just see something interesting. Like that pillar drinking up blood you accidentally get on it. Wouldn't want to miss a show like that. Terry takes Joey to the art gallery where JP got the statue, and they learn that the place has been closed for at least the past month. That doesn't stop Terry from lockpicking their way in through the back.
5 seconds, we're browsing.
The acting in this movie is not good by any means, but in spite of that, I find Joey and Terry very likable characters. I like their sisterly bond. This was the first film for Terry's actor Paula Marshall, and she looked up to the more experienced Terry Farrell. That comes through on screen in the sweet relationship their characters have.
You know, this is a really great place. You like own this?
Well, the bank owns it, but I'm working on it.
Right there with you, lady. They root through the gallery's files to see where the pillar may have come from.
High school art classes, bankruptcy sales.
And closed down lunatic asylums. Property at the Chenard Institute?
Yeah, I think it's that last one, ladies. Definitely that last one. Joey finds pictures of Kirsty Cotton and Elliot Spencer, so she calls the Chenard Institute and they agree to send her a tape of Kirsty.
Yeah.
Oh shit, she's pumped. And I am too. That tape means a Kirsty Cotton cameo. Ashley Lawrence filmed her special appearance separately, before the rest of production began. It's a quick little scene that's only here to give Joey the exposition she needs, with Kirsty talking about how the box opens up and brings out a parade of demons. Elliot Spencer videodromes his way on screen to tell Joey that Kirsty ain't lying.
She's telling the truth, Joey.
Alright, TV man. At the boiler room, JP runs his nightly play of picking up a girl to bang. He convinces Sandy here to come up to his room for a pretty intense sex scene. It's less erotic and more raunchy than the scenes of Frank and Julia shagging. During it, JP gropes Sandy's boobs with his hands stuck to them like magnets. Turns out that was done because actress Amy Lee didn't want her breasts exposed on screen. Still gotta censor all of this for YouTube though. And Pinhead, don't be peeping, dude, no matter how entertaining JP is. After sex, JP tells Sandy to scram.
Give me back my shirt and get the fuck out of my life!
JP, that is some big giant kid energy.
I'd like you to get the fuck out of here! Get out of my room!
JP Monroe is a piece of shit, but Kevin Bernhardt is hilarious in the role. Sandy screams at him, but gets too close to the pillar, causing her to get hooked and introduced to Pinhead face to face. He spits out a hook that rips her skin off. How fucking Hellraiser is that? Then the statue eats her, and it doesn't look great, and looks even worse there. Oof. But the last effect works, so good one to go out on. That meal gives life to Pinhead's head, and JP makes his acquaintance.
Jesus Christ!
Not quite.
Pinhead tells JP that they're both consumers of desire, and that it doesn't matter how that consumption is achieved.
There is no good, Monroe. There is no evil. There is only flesh.
JP responds by shooting Pinhead in the face, but Pinhead eats shots like that for breakfast. He tells this buff baby that he can help give him everything he's ever desired.
There is a place at my right hand for you, Monroe.
A deal with the devil? JP is in! First order of business? More bodies to eat. JP calls up Terry and tells her to come over because he wants her back.
You can't tell me you haven't thought about me.
Don't worry, babe. I'm totally not gonna feed you to a Pinhead pillar. Terry's gone when Joey gets back to her place later that night. She has another wartime nightmare that starts the same before she's green screened into the trenches. Oh boy. There, we see, I think, 22 people getting killed. Either shot or blown apart or, you know, doing that flying through the air thing. Let me tell you, war scenes suck to count. Sorry to anyone who wants an Overlord kill count. It ain't ever gonna happen. This dream flashback is of the First World War. You know, the one people forget about. It's where Elliot Spencer served as captain in the British Expeditionary Force, and he's reaching out to Joey from beyond the grave.
You have to help me.
At this point, the Pinhead we know has been split into two halves. Captain Elliot Spencer and the now purely evil Pinhead, no longer bound by rules of the Lament configuration. Douglas Bradley described this Pinhead as glibly malevolent. I describe him as a bit too much. And I don't like how different his voice sounds here. It's not as deep or authoritative as it was before.
We want the man who did this. No more deals, Kirsty. If you have a quality, be proud of it. Let it define you, whatever it is.
Terry gets to JP's place, where he's real excited to lock her inside. Maybe he wants to steal her shiny vest. He pretends to be a normal human being, but is pretty bad at it.
God, I hate to see you in pain like this.
He's just eager to get her by that pillar so Pinhead can slurp her up. Huh, what would Frank do to get her over there, brah?
Come to daddy.
Once again, WWFD prevails. As soon as Terry gets close, JP drops the act and Pinhead starts yelling from his block.
Bring that to me, boy.
He tries, but Terry's able to punch him away. She's on her way out when Pinhead starts talking sweet, promising a world where she can dream, figuratively and literally. All she's gotta do is give him some JP to chow down on. Since turnabout is fair play, Terry kicks her ex over to Pinhead. JP is killed by the Pinhead pillar, jamming a pair of pistons sideways through his head. This movie's got some pretty fun kills, all things considered. Terry watches as the Pillar of Souls erupts before her eyes, and a bunch of fun exploding close-ups. This thing is finally busted open, fully halfway into the movie, at long last giving us a Pinhead who can stand on his own 2 feet. While Image Animation stuck around to do Hellraiser makeup for a third time, Paul Jones replaced Jeff Portis as lead makeup coordinator. Jones had previously worked on the 2 Waxwork films alongside Hell on Earth's director Anthony Hickox. Clive Barker was skeptical of Hickox as a Hellraiser director since his previous movies were horror comedies, but Hickox promised his fellow Englishmen he'd take the material seriously. Did he succeed? Mostly, but just wait for the CD Cenobite. At her apartment, Joey opens a curtain to find Elliot Spencer playing with a box. It's the scene we saw at the beginning of Hellbound. Through the power of cutting-edge visual effects, Joey's able to walk through her window into another dimension, a portrayal of the past. Elliot Spencer's past, which means another motherfucking goddamn war scene, one where we counted 57 dead bodies and or severed heads in the background. Can't be absolutely certain since there are a few close-ups that might be showing the same bodies we see in the long shots. And they just had to have a bunch of long shots, didn't they? At night, in the dark, and shots that sweep across the landscape? Come the fuck on. Joey's in this counting nightmare because Spencer has summoned her for help. Unlike his pinheaded alter ego, Captain Spencer is a friendly fellow.
Well done. Brave girl. Probably never shaken hands with a ghost before.
He says that this is some sort of afterlife limbo. He was able to bring her here because she dreamed of her father's war, and apparently...
A dream of one war is a dream of all wars.
Wait, what? Since when did we start doing Nightmare on Elm Street style rules, Hellraiser? Spencer tells Joey that after the war, he sought extreme experiences, which led him to the puzzle box. It turned him into Pinhead, a servant of hell, but thanks to the efforts of one Kirsty Cotton, he regained his humanity before he died. His evil form was so strong, though, it survived in the Pillar of Souls independently. When it was fed the blood it needed, it came back to life, and now Spencer needs Joey's help to defeat Pinhead once and for all. Wish they could have stopped him before this next fucking scene, because if you thought there were a lot of soldiers in those trenches, just check out the capacity of this nightclub. Pinhead makes an explosive entrance and kicks things off with a weird close-up.
Shall we begin?
In his initial attack on the boiler room, we see 12 people getting killed. There's a guy stabbed in the gut, a lady who gets a pinhead icicle in her mouth, another lady who gets her face ripped off, and a whole bunch of random people killed by chains. Notably, Rick the bartender gets a face full of barbed wire, and the DJ gets stabbed all over his head with CDs. He also gets some kind of strap thing wrapped around his face, and if you think that looks bad, it's only gonna look worse later. Pinhead laughs as he locks the doors and kills many people behind them who I won't count for now. Joey sees a broadcast of the Boiler Room Massacre and asks Doc to meet her there so they can get it all on camera. Too bad that news report is a trap, an image conjured up by Pinhead or something, seeing as how Joey's TV is unplugged. Joey gets to the nightclub and finds it suspiciously devoid of people. She heads up to through a back door, not noticing 2 bodies hanging on a beam behind her. Guess what she does notice though? The 246 bodies strewn about the boiler room. What the fuck? Oh man, this is just the worst thing I can see in a movie I'm covering. Honestly, this one was so bad, I didn't even try to count it myself. I put that shit entirely on editor Josh, who went through it all with his girlfriend. So thank you, Josh and Kate. I don't got time for frame by framing like this. Seriously though, the bodies never fucking end. Like, you get a laugh at the guy with pool balls in his mouth and you think it's all over and done with, but then Joey looks downstairs and bam, another goddamn warehouse of the dead down there. Joey enters a room with more bodies that we already counted among the 246, but I did want to single out Doc as his own kill. Joey finds him with his head replaced by a camera. It's got more megapixels than his old one. Doc was played by Ken Carpenter, who we previously saw as a homophobic cop in Tammy and the T-Rex. For his kill, Carpenter had to lie upside down with his head sticking out through a wall.
And I said, let me tell you something, chaps, I'm not going to be this way long. I'm not going to stay here for an hour. You guys can film this, you better do it now, because the blood's running in my head and I don't like that feeling.
Pinhead shows up, the man responsible for this uncountable carnage, and tells Joey to give him the box. When she says no, he gets mad.
Just come here and die while you still have the option of doing it quickly.
She runs outside where she causes a dude to crash his car while smiling. That leads into one of those wacky stunt shows you see on the tour of a studio backlot. It's got water, electricity, fire, all the elements. Wait, what are those 2 random people doing walking down the street? And can we stop this destruction, please? Oh no, not Larry's! As long as they don't touch the Elm Street Cafe. I hear they've got great soul food. Amidst the mayhem, Joey's introduced to a lineup of Pinhead's new friends. First up, her old friend Doc, who's become the Camerahead Cenobite. At least he kept his handlebar mustache. Camerahead blows up a storefront and kills a random dude by punching through his head with his eye lens.
Ready for your close-up, Joey?
He also makes bad jokes. The second new addition to Pinhead's pals is the Boiler Room DJ, who's become the infamous CD Cenobite. He's here to look dumb and kill New Yorkers with CDs, but mostly he's here to look dumb. Finally, blowing his way through some bricks is Barbie, the barbed wire Cenobite. He used to be Rick the bartender, and now he can blow fire from his mouth. The CD and Barbie Cenobites were ideas that came up last minute during production. Both were done by actors in prosthetic masks, though they'd swap out with dummies for the shots of them using their weapons. Barbie's fire attack came from a 40-foot flamethrower inside a fiberglass head. The bartender in his Cenobite form was still played by co-writer Peter Atkins. Atkins was one of the few Hellbound returnees and acknowledges that his Cenobite might have lessened the movie for some fans.
In that way, it makes the movie a little less serious, I suppose, in tone.
Still, much like me, he can't help but like Hell on Earth.
I'm very fond of it for several reasons. First of all, I met my wife on set. Secondly, I'm in the fucking thing. I got to be a Cenobite.
I love this guy. Some cops arrive to needlessly increase the body count even more. The first dude gets his face stabbed with a flying CD. While Joey books it, Barbie tosses a cocktail on the others.
Shit! Gasoline!
Then he opens his little flamethrower mouth and kills the 2 of them with a couple of fiery explosions. Great job, Barbie.
That's a wrap.
Those kills weren't even yours, Doc. Joey gets to a real church exterior and enters to arrive on an obvious set, with a matte painting filling out the space around the altar. The filmmakers asked a few churches if they could film there, and were very understandably laughed away.
The vicars used to go, "You must be joking."
It's not just that Pinhead's arrival violently blows out all the windows, it's also what he does afterward. He melts the priest's crucifix and destroys the altar in a strangely ungraceful way, then takes a couple of nails and worms, ew, out of his head. With them, he stabs his hands and gives himself stigmata, then delivers a super sacrilegious sermon.
I am the way.
Pinhead starts feeding the priest his own gore. What the fuck is this movie doing? Leave Clayton Hill alone! That guy was a prominent zombie in Dawn of the Dead, as well as that movie's weapons coordinator. Joey gets Pinhead to stop with a little box play and then runs out to a random construction site. Sure, reminds me of Slumber Party Massacre 2. There, she meets the final 2 new Cenobites of the film. JP Monroe in a leather outfit as the Pistonhead Cenobite, and Terry, who we can count as dead now since she's become the Dreamer Cenobite.
I can dream now, Joey. Oh, you wouldn't believe what I can dream of now.
The Dreamer Cenobites makeup was mostly done by Mark Coulier, a returning artist from Image Animation, but her so-called opera gloves were done by Gary J. Tunnicliffe, who'd expand upon the same idea in Hellraiser 4. Hell on Earth was Tunnicliffe's first Hellraiser film, and he'd stick with the series for all of the remaining installments. He even wrote Revelations and Judgment, the latter of which he also directed. Pistonhead and Dreamer surround Joey and taunt her, with Kevin Bernhardt all of a sudden acting like he's Beetlejuice. And what, Dreamer Cenobite's power is little cigarette burns? Seems underwhelming. Pinhead and the rest of the newbies show up, and even he's all like, yeah, I know they suck.
A shadow of my former troops.
These goobers are known as pseudo-Cenobites, since they weren't made in the creation chamber that transformed Dr. Channard. Also, because they ain't got nothing on the OG gash. Though it takes her longer than most, Joey finally solves the lament configuration, which whirs and clicks for a bit before shooting out balls of energy. Since we never see them again, I'll count the pseudo-Cenobites as kills here. I don't think they'd just be transported back to hell, since that's not where they came from, and frankly, I want to see how high this kill count can go. R.I.P. Dreamer Cenobite. Wish we had seen more of you. Pinhead also disappears, and this is when the movie gets a tad too confusing for me to follow. Joey finds herself transported into a field where everything is peaceful and her dad is alive and well. He says that he's glad to see her and that he sure could use that box she has. Thanks for handing it over so quickly, Joey. You made this Pinhead real happy. This was another trap, and Pinhead's just about ready to start his torture process when, I'm not really sure. They're somehow transported back to Spencer's puzzle-solving tent? Elliot Spencer says that this is his domain, but if that's true, dude, why is Pinhead running wild with the bondage on Joey?
You'll like her better this way. Trust me.
Man, even if he does, probably not with you standing there laughing in gross close-ups. A hideous squealing nightmare flower blossoms, and a bunch of stuff starts going after Joey. So Spencer grabs Pinhead's hand and stops it by making him drop the box. Doug Bradley was excited to play two separate roles, especially since Spencer didn't require Pinhead's prosthetics.
I get to go into proper grown-up makeup for 10 minutes. Surely I have another 3 hours here, don't I?
For their climactic back and forth scene, a stand-in wearing Pinhead's makeup was used. It was the first time anyone else had ever been Pinhead on set, and Bradley was perturbed.
I didn't like it. That was the point at which I realized how possessive of the character I'd gotten. It made me angry that somebody else was over there wearing my makeup, my costume.
While a confrontation between two Doug Bradleys is cool, it's fucking weird when their heads become conjoined with unsettling practical and visual effects. In the end, Pinhead fully absorbs Spencer, the rusty bencher, to his Jonas Jr. Spencer's still present enough to tell Joey what to do.
Send me to hell!
She does so with the box and a quip.
Go to hell.
Joey stabs Pinhead with the lament configuration in its diamond form, and it makes his body go into his own chest or something. And sure, I'll count it as a kill, whatever. She's back at that construction site, or I guess maybe she never left, and she sticks the box in wet concrete that must have just been poured while she was sitting there. Sometime later, that concrete foundation is built upon, and the movie ends showing us inside the structure standing there, a veritable shrine to the lament configuration. Oh, there's also a Bitchin' Motorhead song that plays over the credits. It has a music video that Clive Barker directed, which is awesome and features Pinhead playing poker with Lemmy. I bet Triple H has listened to the song at least once in his life. I made editor Josh count all those background bodies, so it's only right to give him the honors here. So how about it, buddy? How many kills did you count?
Well, James, let's find out and get to the numbers.
You got it, man. Thanks again. We counted an astonishing 358 kills or kill equivalents in Hellraiser 3: Hell on Earth. Sadly, that falls 19 short of upending Zombieland Double Tap for the kill count championship. That's basically the kill count equivalent to a kick out at 2.5. With a runtime of 93 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 15.59 seconds. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to JP Monroe. I don't know where those pistons came from or what they really do, but they were stabbed through a guy's hat. That's good enough for me. Dual machete for lamest kill will go to the wartime casualties in the trenches. Hated counting those, but they did make me curious about the last combat veteran of World War I. Turns out it was a British sailor named Claude Scholes who died in 2011 at the age of 110. And that's it! Hellraiser 3: Hell on Earth came out in 1992, the very first release ever by Dimension Films. That's the horror-focused studio that gave us Scream, but which was unfortunately founded by those Weinstein fucks. We'll raise hell one more time for now with Bloodline next week, but until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
We have tortured people in haunted houses, the streets of New York, and hell itself. Now it's one small step for Pinhead, one giant leap for Cenobite kind.
Your impatience has matched my own.
It is time for Hellraiser.
In space!
Hellraiser Bloodline is the last Hellraiser we'll be looking at right now.
No work of art is ever completed, only abandoned.
For it was the final Hellraiser to be released in theaters.
Thank God for Men of Reason.
Only the big screen could contain a story this sprawling.
If I tell you the whole story, will you let me finish what I began?
We visit space. We visit the 90s. We visit the Renaissance era with...
Wait, Adam Scott? Holy shit, y'all, Adam Scott's in this movie. What the fuck are you even doing here, Adam Scott?
Anyway, Hellraiser Bloodline follows the dynasty of the man who created the Lament configuration.
Finest toy maker in France.
As it does, we get more evil Pinhead and a sexy demon named Angelique.
Angelique?
This week, watch a movie with such a troubled production. The director used a pseudonym.
Is that any way to treat an old friend?
And this Friday, tune in for the Kill Count, only on Dead. Wait, what?
What's going on? That clip's not from Hellraiser Bloodline. It almost looks like... Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Motherfucker!
Nice tits, bitch! In space!
Thanksgiving 3 can... no, I'm not reading this. Hellraiser Bloodline can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Demi always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Thanks a lot for watching this week's Kill Count. I want to thank some patrons like Brent Allen, Michelle Nelson, Scarities, Zombillion, Tyler Tarwater, Kevin Ferrara, and Darren Walsh. Damn, man, I really thought this movie could take the championship home, but Zombieland Double Tap's been having quite a reign. I think there are 1 or 2 more contenders this year that might be able to take the belt. We'll have to see come December. Thanks everyone. Be good people.